Now, students, we're going to move on to rendering. So we've got our topology and subregions and all of that set up. I like to take my camera views from this site plan. So I've got my site plan set up here, and what I'm going to do is go straight over to view, into the 3D view, hit the drop down box, pick a camera, and this time I'm going to pick up a view from roughly here. So I'm positioning, left clicking once, position my camera there, drag through the field of view the whole way through the building, and click, and we get that kind of a view there. Now, you will select your crop box and adjust the view, so we can drag that up and across like so. And here's one that I did a little bit earlier, and like so. Okay. And again, by just adjusting the crop box, I get all of the building into the actual camera view here. Now, it's important to remember as well that by picking the crop box, you get access to the crop tool here, which allows you to go in and adjust the height. So if I wanted to adjust the frame of the actual view here, I would pick the locked proportions and I would change that to 220 or 225, and it'll automatically adjust the height as well. That's kind of important because if we're going to be doing 3 or 4 of these views, you want them all to come in around the same size, and you can do that by using this command here, crop region size. Okay. Now, so there we are there. Before we do any rendering, it is important that we get our shadows correct. And so there's a couple of things I'm going to do here. First of all, I'm going across to the graphic display options, and I have got my cast shadows and ambient shadows on. Now look, if I turn my ambient shadows off, you'll see that the building gets a little bit lighter there. So sometimes the ambient shadows can work for you and sometimes it can work against you. So I'm going to leave the ambient shadows off for this one at the moment. And then we can go into lighting here. And in lighting, you've got sun, ambient light, and shadows. And the one that you're going to control mostly here is the shadows. Your default might be around 40, 50. I like a default of in around 25, just to start with anyway, so that we can see this governs the intensity of the shadows. The other important thing that you need to do is go into the sun settings here. So by default, you've got an in session, and yours is probably under lighting here in session with an azimuth and altitude set. Now you've no control that way, but the best way to gain control over your shadows is to go into still, which allows you to place your building. You've done this for me already for project 2, so we placed it in Bolton Street. I can choose my month, so June is a good month, 22nd, so that's the that is the, what is it, the solstice, is it, where the sun is equal distance between the height and the depth. So that is a common date as to when you would produce shadows for planning applications and things like that. We're going to have the ground plane at the ground floor level, and look, it means that I can play around with the time here. So if I move my time, say up to 4 o'clock or something like that, and hit apply, you'll notice that there are slight changes after happening on the shadows there. If I bring that right down to say 7 o'clock or something like that, and again, it's in darkness there, so the sun is not coming around the corner. So I'm going to go up to about 12 o'clock here and see how that works for me. Shadows are important because it is the actual shadows that give this the real 3D feel for your rendering, whatever. Now, so once you've got the shadows right, you can go okay. What I like to do is go into a 3D view, and I'll match those shadows, right? I'll go into manage, into additional settings, sun settings. So it's the same way, it's the same box, it's just a different way of getting into this sun settings box. So here's still, and look, we'll go into June 22nd. I'll make that 00, that's 11 o'clock, that's fine. Into the shadow and apply. Okay, and let's see how these kind of work out for us here. Now you can see that the sun is in the front of the building, it's shining into the building, and the shadows are going at the back. So again,